All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Drazzy Show. It's your boy Drazzy, and as you know, I always have thought-provoking conversations with guests, and today we have a special guest. He goes by the name of Kunle Ministers. Mr. Kunle Ministers, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very good. Thanks for having me here.
No problem, no problem. The pleasure's mine. Pleasure's mine. Welcome on the show. Now, Mr. Kunle Ministers, one of the conversations that we had offline, you gave me a brief description of some of the research that you've done, and you've come to the conclusion that a lot of the characters in the Bible or the Bible itself is actually originated from Africa. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. It's an African story. In fact, it is literally world history, but then because the world started in Africa, so it's also African history, literally.
Okay, so when did you start looking into this kind of stuff? When did you start realizing that, okay, because I'm Ghanaian, and I grew up in Ghana for a brief period of my childhood. And one thing I realized about Christianity in Ghana, especially growing up in a Christian household, was it was no joke. These people believed everyone was white. They believed everyone was from. Most of the people didn't even know where Israel or Jerusalem or any of these places that they talked about in the Bible was. You know, they just pictured white people. I went to churches where I looked up and I saw sculptures and mosaics and not mosaics. What do you call that? Stained windows, stained glass windows of the imageries, and they're all white people, and they're all like the prophets and the disciples, you name it. They're all white people with long white beards. Obviously, you're from Nigeria, Kunle, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Absolutely.
So am I to assume you had a similar childhood where your whole childhood it was white people?
Yes, it was the same thing.
Right.
So
now,
it's whitewashing of history is what it is.
What? How did you feel like when you first started to discover that, hold on, this doesn't seem right? Did you feel like it was blasphemy?
Yeah, it kind of almost felt like that because, in fact, and in more recent times, I was speaking to one of the people that I have explained these to, maybe one of our shows, because we have a TikTok live literally every day, 10 o'clock, West African time. So what they've told me is that when it's a guy I was speaking to, and what he said when his wife discovered or was beginning to see that this could be true, that Jesus was dark skinned, she was beginning to doubt if she could worship him if he was dark skinned. And that tells volumes right there. Because the way you treat someone that looks like you describes how you will treat yourself. You see how you feel about yourself. So I was surprised to hear that, but then I can understand people think it's blasphemy. They think, how can Jesus be black? It should be the devil that should be dark skinned. It's deep.
Wow, that is deep. That is deep. So how old were you when you first started to come across these revelations?
Well, I would say around my 30s. Well, that was, basically just about 6 years ago, thereabout, was when I started getting serious about it. But what started it was that I was wondering, where was Africa when the rest of the world was making progress? All I've known about Africa is that we don't have a history. The history starts from slavery and ends with, neocolonialism, you see. And it's like before then, you guys were just naked and jumping on trees. And the so-called evolution even makes it worse when it says that everybody's come from swamps and, basically worms, etc. Yeah.
So how did it begin? What was the first thing that you discovered, and that was the gateway to what you know now? How did it start?
Yes, it started with Egypt. So the first thing I started to notice was that it started dawning on me that Egyptians are not white. I knew that kind of somewhere in my mind, but I also didn't know it because when you would watch, the Egyptian football matches, it would be like they're all white skinned, and the picture, the facade of Egypt we have out there is that of a Caucasian looking, or at least white Arab looking. So I then began to think that, okay, if Egyptians are actually originally black and then they got infiltrated or changed gradually to white Arabs. So how were they able to hide a white Jesus among the dark-skinned Egyptians? You see, how did the children of Jethro say about Moses that an Egyptian helped us when an Egyptian should be dark and a Hebrew, you see, should be white? How was Paul arrested and they said, oh, who was it that was arrested? Was it that Egyptian that was causing troubles? They're like, no, this one is Paul, is a Hebrew, you see. So you see with Paul, you see with Moses, you see with Jesus, you see with Joseph, you see, they could not tell that he was Hebrew, you see. Or someone, and then someone was trying to argue with me, as TikTok always would be, that, oh, the reason they could confuse him with an Egyptian was because he was shaving. I'm like, hey, you don't shave your head and your skin turns black in the process. So so that was like, okay, so if the Egyptians are dark skinned, the Hebrews also have to just be dark skinned. And then it was just step after step after step, and then we're here today. So then one of the basic discovery now is that, in summary, in one sentence, is that we found out that the languages, the people, and the land of the real Hebrews is not in the Middle East, but is in sub-Saharan Africa.
I see. Which region, which area are we talking about?
Yeah, starting from Guinea. I don't know if it is time to start showing evidences yet. I could share my screen when that time comes. But starting from Guinea up into Nigeria, up into Central Africa, all the way down south. That's the land of the Hebrews. By the way, the people that are called Hebrews are from Eber. Eber is the 14th from Adam. You see, when you're counting towards Jesus Christ is about 62nd generation. So Eber is like the 14th, yeah? So anybody that is from that descendant is a Hebrew. But then Eber is the 14th. There's a guy whose name is Shem, okay, one of the ancestors. So he's the 11th, yeah? So most of what you have in Africa is the land of Shem, and a mixture of the land of Shem and the land of Ham, because a time came when Noah divided the earth amongst his sons, sons and sons, as Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And there's a record of that event and how the lands were divided. It's in the Book of Jubilees.
Wow, that's interesting. You know what? That kind of contradicts what I was told. Because my mum always told me this as a little boy, that obviously we are descendants of the true Hebrews, and we migrated from Jerusalem, Jerusalem, Egypt, and Kush, ancient Kush, and made our way down to the west. But you're saying that it was all happening in the west. We didn't need to migrate.
We did not need to migrate. Now, there could have been a sect of Jews, because the problem of location, like I said, it is language, peoples, and lands, or locations. The problem of location started around what I will call 135 AD in the conventional timeline that we know. Okay, that's when the Bar Kokhba revolt happened. There's something called Aelia Capitolina, and that's what happened when the Jewish people were broken once again, and the temple was destroyed once again. However, I suspect very strongly that it was just a duplicate of what happened in 70 AD that was brought to 135. But let's still work with the conventional 135, because when we get into timeline, it gets really deep, you see. But let's still work with the conventional timeline, which is that 135 AD, they destroyed the temple once again, and the gathering, especially of the people. That's by Hadrian, the emperor. And then they rebuilt another temple in a different location. Now, the way mainstream explains it is that they destroyed the temple and they rebuilt in the same location. But then what really happened is that they destroyed the temple in sub-Saharan Africa and they rebuilt another one in the Middle East, present-day Middle East. And then the problem kept getting worse like that, you know. And they were in 700 AD, there was these Khazars and Ashkenazis, Khazars that were converted into the Jewish religion, and today they've made it into Zionism, whatever you've got. And and in fact, I suspect that even those people were still dark-skinned at that time. But then that's the Japhethites, that's the Khazars. Even at 700 AD, I really suspect that. Because if you check, just Google Black British royal family, you still find out that the British royal family were dark-skinned, I mean, just a few hundred years ago.
Yeah.
So it goes way deep. So I don't know how you want to take the interview. I like to go chronologically. So, I mean, your answers are as good as the questions you ask, bro.
Sorry, man. You know what it is? I'm one of those people, when I hear something that triggers me, I'm like, I wanna touch on that. So sometimes I may like divert here and there, but it's all within the same, topic. But that's interesting. Like I said, it contradicts what I've been told. But like you said, there might have been a certain sect that did migrate. Yeah. But it was going on. So, I know there's a lot of Jews in Nigeria. I saw a documentary, and they stick to the traditional ways of doing it. And you got a lot of European, or should I say white-skinned Jews, that act as if they can dictate as to how authentic they are or not. And whenever I've seen these kind of things where they might be on TikTok and they'll be like, oh, I'm in this part of Nigeria, and as you can see, these group of Jews, they do things the right way. And I'm thinking, who are you to tell
the right
us
way
that they're doing it the right way? When I've been told that they're the originals,
Yeah.
and to me, it makes me wonder. And like I said, I do divert sometimes, but we're gonna stick to the topic. Do you think slavery was truly because they wanted to have slaves to build their nations, or do you think it was to brainwash and literally just erase the memory of the things that you've just described in West Africa?
Yes, it's a mixture, a combination of many of those factors. And in fact, there's several layers to what is going on, really, several layers. So on the very top of it, you find, just greed, really, is what it is. I mean, some people coming from Europe and wanting to take over some other people's land. That is the very surface of it. On a deeper level of that is just a desire to control the people, such that it's not about the resources they've got. Because so far now, those who are controlling the world in that sense have much more than they can ever spend, have properties more than they can ever live in, you see, or use for anything. But then there's this desire for control. But then if you dig much deeper, it goes into the spiritual realm where there is really Satan on the head of it, at the top of this thing. So yes, it's a mixture of erasing their memory, destroying them, taking their resources, all of that combined together in one flow. Yeah.
Wow. So technically, God's people have forgotten who they are. Their memories have been erased.
To a large extent, and it's been replaced is what is done. Because I like telling people that when you deceive somebody by elimination, then you have not done a good job, like these guys have done. What they have done is to deceive by substitution. And the difference is that when you deceive someone by elimination or by eliminating or trying to eliminate the truth, most times that truth cannot be deleted completely. So all you can do is to hide it in Vatican archives, do whatever you want to do. But someday someone is going to find that out, you see. But when you deceive by substitution, the moment the person begins to want to suspect anything, then what they find, and I think they found something, is the substitute for the real truth. So at the point they find the substitute, then their search ends, and that's it for them. So that's a very dangerous and subtle way to deceive someone, and that's what we see playing before us.
It's funny because I interviewed a lady who touches on a similar kind of subject to you, but hers is to do more, I think, less with religion and more to do with artifacts that she finds. And her name is Dr. Marie Charles. And it's funny because I think off camera when she and I were talking, I did say it's kind of interesting because, the substitution is very funny because when you're naive and you don't look into it, it can look like it's the reality. But when you actually wake up and you look at it, it's laughable because everything we left behind to remind us is in stone.
Yes.
Everything we left behind to remind us is in stone. We didn't leave it behind, just word of mouth. It's there. But because we've been so detached, even we start to question the stone, even though it shows people of black, they actually painted with color so potent that thousands of years later it's still brown.
Still brown.
And I've heard these what do you call it? These archaeologists say things like, "Oh no, over time erosion made it turn brown." But so what about the blue and what about the white and what about the yellow? Why didn't that change color?
The exact same problem that we have with the location of the present day Middle East. God said he was taking them from Egypt, a land of bondage, into, number one, a spacious land, number two, a land flowing with milk and honey. So, and the land you have in the Middle East is, number one, very small. It's literally 40 times smaller than the present day Egypt because it's 25,000 square kilometers. And present day Egypt is about 1 million square kilometers. That makes it 40 times smaller, of which the older Egypt is bigger than the present Egypt, you see. And secondly, it's a very dry place. So they try to say, oh, you know what, maybe it's because of what's that thing called climate change that has happened. Then we ask them, hey, bro, if climate change makes a place dry, does it also shrink the land? So they can't, there is no way it can be that place. It's just not possible.
Yeah, it doesn't. So obviously with me, I'm not that well versed in the Bible. I know a lot because obviously I grew up in a very religious household. My uncle was the Archbishop of Ghana. So I grew up in a very, very religious family. So I know what I know based on what I was taught. But in terms of doing my own research, I can't say I'm that well versed. But I do know there's a bit in the Bible called Deuteronomy, and it talks of a people who have basically broken their covenant with God.
Yes.
And I know I've come across a lot of African Americans who always say that that's who they're talking about. They are the people that are being talked about.
Yes, you're correct, Tracy, because there are, is in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 1 to 15 talks about the blessings of obeying, then 15 up until about 68, there about to the very end.
It just gets deep.
Yes, it gets into curses. Now, there are many things that were said about what would happen to them if they disobeyed. Now, a lot of them could have happened to anybody in the world. For example, you would be the tail and not the head. For example, you plant and you'll not be able to reap it. These are things that could have happened to different cultures. But there are about 3 or 4 of them that is peculiar that has happened to just the sub-Saharan African people. And number 1 is that they'll be taken in as slaves with chains on their necks. Okay? Number 2, he said when the chains are on their necks, they will be naked when they're taken that way. You see? Then number 3, he said they will be taken in ships in that same slavery. And that has also happened to them, the Badagry slave coast. The number 4, he said they will be scattered around everywhere in the world. So there is no race in the world, there is no people in the world that have all those curses, first off, that could happen to anybody. Plus these 4, that chains were literal iron chains were put on their necks and their feet. Number 2 is that they were naked when that was happening. Number 3, they were put into ships. They were literally taken like sardines, packs, to through the transatlantic slave
transatlantic slave trade.
Atlantic slave trade. The number 4, the tongue twister it is. The number 4 that were scattered everywhere. Until today, when you see where they're scattered, they're always at the bottom of the social economic chain. And in fact, in their own land, even in Southern Africa especially, you would think that when they travel out of the country, they treat them that way because they don't have green passport, have this, have that. Or in their own land, most times they are still treated as slaves in their land. And when other people from other nationalities come to their land, they are on the top of them still. When you go outside of this country, you're called an immigrant. But when people from their country come to your country,
they're treated like kings and queens, man.
They're expatriates. So, and it's the same thing, mirrored back and forth, but it's a different nomenclature and a definitely different reality and experience. Yeah.
Definitely. I've got first-hand experience of what you just said. For instance, we got a lot of Lebanese in Ghana. They've always been there. Since I was a little boy, we've had loads of Lebanese there, and they are the most successful in Ghana financially. I'm talking like
that's a curse, man.
Yeah.
That's exactly when the princes walk on their feet and slaves ride on horses.
Yeah, it's deep. I'm telling you, it's like. But then when we go to Lebanon, no, we don't get the same respect.
That's if they grant them the visa in the first place.
They even do loads of racist stuff in Ghana. I'm talking like the most recent one I heard is we got this sauce called shito, and shito is like a proper hot sauce, proper hot sauce. Yeah, it's boiled, it's black. You have to boil it. And when apparently one of the girls that works for this man's restaurant, she was annoying him, so he took the hot boiled shito and threw it in her face and blinded the girl. And guess what? He spent 1 night in jail.
Whoa!
1 night in jail. Now, I heard about that around 2019, if I'm not mistaken, or 2020, I'm not sure. And I just remember thinking, that's a prime example of when someone foreign comes to Africa and due to the color of their skin or due to the nation that they're from, they get all that respect. And then the opposite, we go over there. You try throwing something, even if it's just cold water on someone as an African in their country and see how they'll treat you.
Oh no, you're gone.
This man threw hot sauce, boiling pot of hot sauce in the girl's face. Come on, man. But yeah, that's the perfect example. But yeah, so I know we diverted a bit. I started talking about, Deuteronomy and all that kind of stuff. But I want to get back to what you were saying, which is the West Africa being the origin of most of the tales in the Bible. I want to get back to that. So you're telling me Jesus is from West Africa?
Yes, he's at least from sub-Saharan Africa, yes.
All the 12 disciples as well?
All of them. So time-wise, forgive me if I try to be organized.
No
because
worries,
because we've literally put these things on our website in that kind of flow, okay? So let me flow it from, because now you're talking about locations, but let me try to start it from the beginning. It all started in Eastern Africa because Al-Kebul land is the name of the land, right? Which means Garden of Eden. So he planted a garden in the east of Eden, okay? And also, secondly, the rivers flow from that garden, okay? And then the river Nile, which is the real Tigris, the river Tigris, flows from that part in Uganda. Can I share my screen? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay, great. So we've got, this map is made up of dozens of maps and the references. Okay, so what we've done is to take those maps and superimpose them on present day map, so we can have these locations the way they are. So we found out that this is the real Euphrates, which is the River Pra, part of the River Pra in Ghana. Because if you do the word search for this Euphrates, discover that this U is just a Greek addition, then the real name is Fra or Pra.
Wow.
Yeah. And do you know of River Pra in Ghana, yeah?
No, I don't actually know.
There is a River Pra in Ghana, maybe because you have not been there for a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so there is a River Pra in Ghana, and I'm going to just show all of those locations one after the other. But then let me flow it through from the start. So it starts from here. This is where the River Tigris and these other rivers flow from, and which is this. It has been called Lake Victoria, by the way, which is named after the 1880 something queen of England. So so that's where it started, around Eastern Africa.
Yeah.
And after that, they gave birth to. Adam gave birth to Shem. To Seth, rather, please. And Seth gave birth to Enos, gave birth to Canaan, gave birth to Mahalalel. In the days of this Yared, which means to descend, that's the time when the watchers came and began to have relations with the daughters of men. Okay, and then you have Enoch until you have Noah, and there was a flood. But after the flood, Noah gave birth to Shem, Ham, and Japheth. This Cush gave birth to a guy called Nimrod. He's the guy that built the Tower of Babel. Where the Tower of Babel is just here in Sudan, present day Sudan. And when people download our map, they can always check these references like B2, DKLH6, and that's in the bottom lower pages here. And they can go check that. Yeah, it's going to pop how we came about these locations. So after Shinar there, and after a while, the Tower of Babel was destroyed. Abraham left there, and when he left, he said when he left Egypt, he went south. So Genesis 13 verse 1. He said KJV, yes. So he said he left Egypt and he went up in elevation into the land of the south. And this is what you've got here. So he says it here. And Abraham went, could you read it from there? Is it something that is
I can see it.
Okay. Yeah. So, and Abraham went up out of Egypt, and he's talking about elevation, and he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. You see,
so when he left Egypt, he's coming more towards East Africa, Central Africa.
Exactly, what you call Upper Egypt, and that's why you have the word up here, because it's higher in elevation. So that is one thing. When he left the Ur of the Chaldees, also he was also going south. So he went south there up until the way he got to Gerar. We have references for all these locations, by the way. So and after that he went back to he had Isaac had Jacob sold their brothers here. That's Joseph here, rather. And you will notice when Joseph and his brothers were crossing to go meet his brother, when Joseph's brother were going to meet Joseph in Egypt, they did not cross any water body, which is to show you that the promised land they're coming from and Egypt is basically landlocked. They are land connected, you see. And then when we're going to leave Egypt, after the Pharaoh that didn't know Joseph rose up and they were going to leave Egypt, he said that they crossed the Reed Sea, not the Red Sea, you see. So everything up till this point is still within the continent. In fact, everything till the end, till now. So this is the Red Sea, this is the Reed Sea. And on top of that, he said they crossed with an east wind, you see. And an east wind, let me show you where that scripture is at. Let me see if we could pop it up real quick. And that would be in Exodus 14:21. So let me put that up. Exodus 14 verse 21 KJV. Makes it easier. So yeah. So this is how they were crossing the sea. Let's make the fonts much bigger. So when they were crossing the sea, he said, and Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind. I don't know if you see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, all night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. So now, just reason with me. When an east wind, do you know where an east wind come from? Definitely from the east, right?
From the east, yeah.
Exactly. So when the wind is blasting this way from the east, it's blasting from the east towards the west.
Towards the west, yeah.
Exactly. And that must have been the same path that these people crossed.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
So they did not cross the Red Sea, it was the Reed Sea, and which is this. This is the same place where it's as simple. But then when people read this, they just read it in passing. But the movies they've watched of the kings of Egypt, of Moses, it stays longer in their head.
Yeah.
And the news stays longer in their head than just the scripture. Said it's the strong east wind, you see. So they came back here, and all the time it was just here, all the time. They had the first king. Well, after Joshua and the elders died, there were judges, there was Samuel, he chose Saul. After Saul, there was David. Then there was the northern and southern kingdoms. Northern kingdom was taken in captivity to Assyria. And after that, the southern kingdom was taken to Babylon. And that is when they took Daniel. Babylon, by the way, is here. Let me just show you do you have an idea where Babylon is?
Me personally, I'll be honest with you, no.
Sorry?
No, I don't.
Okay. So most people will expect Babylon to be in Iraq, but it is not in Iraq, you see. But for the sake of those that may have that idea, let me show, and also to let them know how to use our map when they download it from our website, kunleministers.org. So this is W and X. And when that says that, there's a portion where you can go download the maps, all the references, and you just click it. Well, I probably should just do it this way, just to demonstrate to the people, excuse me. So kunleministers.org, when they go there, they can just go to word study, where is it? World history, materials, and go to maps. Like that, it shows them this map. And then they can easily go here and go to references. So because that says WX, they go to W here. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So it's a very easy to use website we've put together. Like I said, this thing took about over half a decade to put together. Yeah. So, and MNOP, then that is W should be here. Yeah. So that's the map, Ptolemy map. So when they zoom this map, it may not be both because I have downloaded it anyways. So I'm just going to come here and open it. It might take a while, a little bit. But that's just to show people how to use the maps. Let me download a quick maps that people might want to have a look at. Okay, great. Let's have a look at this one already. So by the way, and that is working. Let's also pop this up and pop that one up also. So look at Babylon right there. You see?
And that's an ancient map as well, isn't it?
Yes, this is the Ptolemy Claudius North African map of 1561. You see, so they could just go there, and we have tagged it as W. They can go there and they're going to find it there. So, and how did we put Euphrates in West Africa? I mean, these things are beginning to become common knowledge nowadays. And the Euphrates River is very important because the reason why Mesopotamia is called Mesopotamia is because...
Kunle, you cut out. You cut out. I'm not sure what's happened, but the last thing I heard was the reason why Mesopotamia is called Mesopotamia. Can't get you.
Is it back now?
Yeah, you're back now. The last thing I heard you say was the reason why Mesopotamia is called Mesopotamia.
Yes. So the reason why Mesopotamia is called Mesopotamia is because it is, that word Mesopotamia means between two rivers is what that word means, literally.
Wow. So are we talking about are we talking about the Red Sea or what was the other one that you said? The one that flows towards the west? The one that the wind flew to the west, sorry?
Yes, exactly. The Reed Sea, which is also the Nile.
Reed Sea.
Yes. And it's also the Nile. And these rivers change names based on locations of who is giving it the name. That's the territory, rather. Yeah. And also based on time. Yeah. You see. So it's the river Tigris, it's the river Nile. There's White Nile, there's Blue Nile. But Mesopotamia is going to be here then, you see. So that's very important to know that is that river. But then this is how we found...
I don't know why I thought Mesopotamia was in the Middle East.
Yeah, you're correct. That's what the mainstream tells us, really. Yeah. So that's Euphrates there, you see, Euphrates.
Yeah, Euphrates, river. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have the kingdom of Judah there. That means a lot of people from Judah, the real Judah.
So which map is this? Whose map is this?
That's the Guillaume Delisle North African map 1707.
Jeez. They weren't very good
Yeah,
at hiding in the lies, were they? They kind of made a sloppy job. They kind of like, they kept
exactly. It's
changing their
difficult.
mind. Every generation, they changed their mind.
Yeah, exactly the point. It's difficult to hide because, and there is an African proverb that says that, Ti roban lo lugodu.
What does that mean?
Let me just say it in English. That was just in Yoruba. By the way, the Yoruba language is closer to Paleo Hebrew. In fact, of course, along with the what's that word? The Chi language, with the Ga language.
Yeah,
they're closer to the Paleo Hebrew than the modern Hebrew. You have to be.
You know, it's deep that you said that, and I'm sorry, I'm going to digress a bit.
It's fine.
Divert a bit. My mom said to me that before we migrated to what is modern day inner city Accra or Greater Accra, which is where the Ghans are from, we were in Nigeria,
Middle East,
and
Nigeria,
because we left the Middle East. I'm talking about like the internal migration in the West Africa region. We first settled as Yorubas, and then we came to that's why there's certain words in Ga that sound very similar to Yoruba, and certain Yoruba words that we can understand, which is weird. Do you know what I mean? You know, like I was talking to one next guy who I interviewed on here, and I was talking about the words like "oya." We use "oya," and I never realized Yoruba used it. So I came to the UK, and I was like, "Why these guys keep saying "oya, oya"? That's our language." And I'm like, no, that's
and another
language.
One is "ago." Do you know "ago"?
Ago. For us, it's a greeting. When we go to someone's house and we knock their gate, we say "ago."
Oh, okay. How about "bawate"? Is it your language?
Bawate, it means let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So that bar now is like bo, and in Hebrew it is bo and bar, and there is this akwaba also. You know,
akwaba,
akwaba. In Yoruba, you say ekwabo.
You're kidding me.
I'm telling you.
You're kidding me.
So, so it's these things are it's just right that there's no way they can. And we're going to go into languages shortly. Let's just get on with the land.
Sorry,
yeah, it's fine. So, let me share my screen again. All right. So,
I feel like I'm in school, man.
It's beautiful, bro.
I'm telling you, man.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I'm just turning all my volume. I just realized all my volumes are on my phone. I'm going to turn them all off because this is a lesson. Teacher, teach. All right, so I see Judah, I see Guinea, I see Euphrates.
Exactly. So this is where they took most of those people from, you see. They took them from those coasts, you see, and they've just taken them off of their land. And this Euphrates says in another document here, you know, and this is a completely different document. This is the National Geographic Magazine 1918, volume 32, page 395. Okay, and it says this, in the kingdom of Armenium, just to show you that it's completely different from that other map. In the kingdom of Armenium, there enters a branch of the river Euphrates, Niger. It specifies that is talking about Niger, you see. And it's talking about the Freya, you see, does not confuse this with the Mesopotamian Euphrates. So there is a Euphrates with an F, and there's another one with a PH. So he's trying to say that worst case scenario is so sure that the worst case scenario is that he's assuming that these are two rivers with the same name. It's just what it has to be, you see. And in case people are just mixing that up, it continues here and says, when I crossed the Great River, I first made a long journey along its banks, which are very populous, referring evidently to the river Benue, a tributary of Niger. And that's exactly what you have in Nigeria today. The Niger-Benue confluence in Nigeria. And those West African rivers are connected together, the Pra, the Benue, the Niger River. And by the way, it's just some guy from Europe that came there and said he discovered River Niger. And you ask the people that are there, what's the name of the river? They will tell you it is Pra. That's River Pra.
Yeah.
You see. But he didn't ask them. He just came and said, what's the voice? He just said he discovered it. And then what name are you going to give it? Nigger.
Yeah, I know. You know what's so funny? My brother-in-law is the one that told me about it. I had no clue that it was named after that. Do you know what I mean? I had no clue.
Yeah, nigger is just the Portuguese word for black. For black. Yeah. So let's. I don't know if I've satisfied the question about location. So so that's basically it. And 1885. Fast forward real quick. Queen Victoria started doing the Palestine Exploration Fund. Started digging stuff up here. Yeah. You see. By the way, while they were doing that, there is this thing called the Balfour Declaration, where the British government gave the Middle East to which is the Palestine Mandate, it came from that Balfour Declaration, gave this Middle East to the Rothschilds, the Red Shield. You know who the Rothschilds are, yeah?
Oh, yeah, I know they are.
Yeah, so, and that was in 1917, thereabout, around the First World War, and was always meant to rewrite history is the thing. Histories are always written during the times of war. So, but did you know that in this 1917, just about 14 years before that, they had tried to do exactly the same thing for
With
this Uganda.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But you know, some Jews did actually, well, should I say some Jewish people
in the Middle East.
Did actually stay there in Uganda. They actually stayed there. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. They are very close to getting into trouble because Netanyahu said he's going to come to Africa soon. So, I mean, that's a red flag, really, because he's not from the Hebrew tribe. He's not Hebrew. You see, he's Eastern European. He changed his name to Netanyahu to sound Jewish. You see, he's a Khazar and at best an Ashkenazi. So at best, they are practicing some form of religion. They have decided to call Jewish and Judaism, but that is not the Hebrew. They are not Hebrews by blood. You see. So anyway, that's that. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, what do you think the purpose of all of this is? Why are they trying to cosplay, emulate, or replace the original people? What's the aim of it? Because they could have easily just created their own to rival who we are, who we originally are. Why do they have to actually take what it is that's ours and just claim it as their own?
Yes, because it is said that the people cannot know where they're going if they don't know where they're coming from. And many times the key to the future sometimes lies in the past. So when they change those names like that and they put a different nationality like that, the people will not take it so far in their mind to go back to the past of their roots. They don't have documentation. Very, very important. And that is why mainstream history tries to tell us rather, that the Bible is fictional, and that is not true at all. You see, the first attempt that we should take to the Bible is that it's a historical book at the very least. And then you see, unfortunately, preachers tell you, don't read it as a historical book. And I understand what they're trying to say in the sense that they want you to see the spiritual end of it, but it is first of all a historical book, a historical account. So when the people don't have documentation to show their history like that, the nativity around the documentation has been changed and swapped over, then it becomes very easy to swindle them. So what you see, Drazy, is that we've got a document that is very accurate, that doesn't have a people to it. They tell you the tribes are lost, you see, and the land they've got for it is not fitting into it. There are a lot of people that have lost their faith when they went to that Middle East. They're like, no, this cannot be the land, and this thing does not make sense. The Sea of Galilee is not there. It cannot be like this, you know. So we have a perfect document, complete detailed document, and there is no land and no people to show for it. And then on this other side, we have a people and a land, and they tell us they don't have a history. So what we see is that there's history, no land, no people. There is people and land, no history. Just put it together like this, then that's talking about the exact same thing. But they try to detach the two from each other. So they should take them and disconnect them from their documents that shows their land. Very important strategy that they did.
There's a rapper that I absolutely love. And I think I've made reference to this guy too many times, Killer Priest.
Okay.
And he's got an album called Heavy Mental where he talks about nearly everything that we're talking about right now in this conversation. You know, he goes, they took our babies from he said, they took our babies from the rivers of Euphrates. And then, then he talks about...
He just raps it, doesn't he?
Pardon?
He just raps the whole
this
thing.
Guy, Killer Priest, he's an affiliate of Wu-Tang Clan. And in like the mid to late 90s, he was very popular. And with every album, he got less and less of a budget from his record label because with every album, he was getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And so they tried to make him commercial. So his albums, as they went on, started to get a bit more commercial, and then it kind of destroyed his fan base a bit. But those who listen to his old stuff can see what the label tried to do. So they tried to water down his knowledge because he was dropping nearly every single gem that you were talking about. He had a lyrical way of expressing it. That's very wonderful. Deep. Yeah.
Is he American?
Deep. Yeah, African-American guy, Killer Priest. African-American guy.
And what you find out is that most of the artists in America today, especially those that will decide to keep singing sexual perversion, that will keep singing drugs and pew pew stuff.
Their bloodline is strong.
Yeah, very strong. Most of them are Jews. And on top of that, they're usually sponsored. They will continue to be sponsored as long as they keep singing things like that.
Yeah.
But the question is, sponsored by who?
Yeah.
You see, by the Jewish people.
Yeah.
I don't even get that.
Can I ask you something? So I think you just said, what you just said is so deep, because I remember some years ago I had a friend called Ishmael, and he said something to me very similar to what you said. He said majority of the most popular rappers who rap about the most nonsensical stuff, who rap about the most ignorant stuff, they have the power of captivation. That's why they give them that platform, because they're able to captivate many to be fooled by their nonsense. But the truth is, had they had not been sponsored by those people who want them to talk nonsense, that power of captivation, they would have used it to captivate them with sensible stuff, bringing them closer back to God, bringing them closer back to their origins and their essence. So I believe what you said about they definitely have some strong bloodline. But what my friend Ishmael used to say was, he used to talk about Cohen.
Okay.
Is it Levi or Levi? Cohen and
I'm not sure who the person is.
So basically, he used to tell me that there was like a pyramid structure in olden times, in the times before obviously we got, detached from who we were. And the Cohens were those who were very good at entertainment. They were very good at music. They were very good at
Levites,
captivating.
of course. Literal Levites. I thought that was someone's name. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So what the Jewish people did, by the way, I've also heard news that one of the most popular sexual perverted website you've got is pornography.
All of them.
Has been bought over by, the Jewish people.
Yeah, they own all of them.
What it did is they took the gift of these Levites, you see, and perverted it.
Yes.
I'm telling you, the root of it is demonic and pure satanic. It's not. I'm not mincing words and using figurative. I'm talking about the real Lucifer himself. It's at the root of this thing, Satanism.
Yeah.
Definitely. So that's what we've got.
Yeah. I think they call it synagogues of Satan, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Revelation 2 verse 9 and Revelation 3 verse 9. Yeah. They call themselves Jews, but they are synagogues of Satan, is what the scripture says. Yeah, let's go over to the language. So let me share my screen one more time. Now we have found, let me first give a description. We have found about over 20 words, about 26 words in the Yoruba language that is just exactly the same with the Hebrew, word for word. And the reason why I use Yoruba is because first, Yoruba is like the fifth most spoken language in Africa. And that's within Africa, by the way, spoken in many other countries. Wow. It's like the second or third language in Brazil.
But that makes sense, because there's a lot of Brazilians who still worship Shango and Yamaya.
Exactly. So, and of course, a lot of people moved from there all over there because of
they speak some African Americans speak Yoruba as well. I saw a video of African Americans speaking Yoruba. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's the same people. So I pick Yoruba because that's language I can speak, just African language I can speak the best. But then it's connected to other African languages, like of course we've seen with the Ga and the Chi in Ghana, connected with Kosa, with Ndebele, with Shona, with Amharic in Eastern Africa. So we picked that. Now, we started with Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. Yep. In English, it's about 10 words. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right? That's 10 words. Or in the Hebrew, okay, it is about 6 words. And it says this way, Bereshit, Elohim, Bara, Shamayim, Et, Eret, okay? So out of those 6 words, 5 out of those 6, Gracie, is literally Yoruba words. And that's Genesis 1:1. You see, so that Bereshit is the way you say in the beginning in Hebrew, and the way you say in the beginning in Yoruba is Ni Bere. You see, second one, let me just open up the table straight away, and the second one is Elohim, and Elohim is a plural. The singular for Elohim is Eloha, right? And Eloha means Lord God or God, and the way you say Lord in Yoruba is Oluwa.
Oluwa, yeah. I've heard that before.
Exactly. So that Elohim we sing in song, the singular is Eloha, is the same thing, just about the same as Oluwa. You see. And the third one is Shamayim, that's plural for heavens. The singular is Shama. And then you can say Awo Summer in Yoruba, and Summer means firmament or heaven, the same thing. Shama, heaven, and Shamayim. So let me pop this up. I'm not sure if it's loading.
The sad thing is there are many Nigerians that would literally hate you for telling the truth.
I know
They will
because
hate you,
people,
man.
people, and actually, to be honest, people are actually responding better to it than one might think.
Oh wow,
You
that's
know,
good. That's good.
yes, they are. I mean, it's especially on TikTok because TikTok has got is my camera still on?
No, it's gone to EOS webcam, so I can't see the rest of it. It's all cut off.
Okay, let's see if it's gonna pop back on. Let me know if it's back on.
No worries.
So let's see
Yeah,
where's
you're back.
local.
You're
She's
back on
back.
now. Your camera's back on now.
Good.
Yeah.
So how's the sharing?
I can see. Yeah, zoom in a little bit more. Yeah, I'm good now. Yeah, that's perfect. Go back one. Go back
Good.
one. Go back one. That's perfect now. Yeah.
Good. So yeah, so people are responding, especially on TikTok, because you have a younger generation. You have people that are younger generation, and TikTok is just eye-opening as against Facebook, and that's TikTok is just
Oh my
all over
God.
the place. So people,
Bereshit, Iberi,
yeah, I'm telling you,
Aloha,
yeah, that's it.
Oloa,
Yeah,
Shama,
yes,
Sanma,
summer, yes,
Et,
and
Ati,
ati,
Eret,
eret, ere,
Ere. Oh my
enos, enion,
God.
okele is just word for word.
Oh
Now,
my
Abba
God.
and Mama is a little more popular. That's
Yeah.
it. Malak, Malaika, Bo. This is the Bo I was telling you.
Hold on. Malak. Hold on.
That's the Bo.
So in Yoruba, Malaika is angel as well?
Yes, and actually in many languages, to be fair, you see. But
I've definitely, I know it's similar in Arabic as well.
Yeah, in these three words are actually, to be fair, it's the same in many like we wrote here, same in many languages. So Baba, Mama, Ima, Malak is like that. In fact, some Yoruba even argue that Malaika is not Yoruba necessarily, but then hey, Hausas, that's how they say Malaika, that's how they say angel, you see. So this is the Bawate we're speaking about. You see, that's the Ba. In Hebrew, it is Ba or Bo. In Yoruba, you say Bo. That means arrive.
No way.
Telling you word for word.
No way. I've been using that word all my life, Ba.
I'm telling you. And this is the Akwaba. This is Kabo.
No
you see?
way.
You see, and that Kabo, when you break it down in modern Hebrew, that Ka means time. That Bo is the same Bo to mean come or arrive. So he's greeting you for the time of coming.
Yeah.
Exactly, Kabo. You see, in Ga is Akwaba, if I or Chi.
Yeah.
It's Akwaba, you see. Just like that, word after word after word. When you say Elroy, when you say Roy or Ray, that's the word for sea. Yeah. And it is Re, exactly the same thing in Yoruba.
Yeah.
You see, Baal or Bale is the same thing. So it's just like that. It's just like that.
Wow, that's deep, man. That's deep. It
is.
This is the first time I'm ever being made privy to this. This is quite deep, man. That is quite deep. Wow. That is quite deep. So, as you're making these revelations, you said you first started when you're 30. So, between 0 to 30, did you ever question your religion? Did you ever question the origins of your people, or was it something that you never once thought of? It just hit you in one day.
Yeah, not even exactly 30, but then yes, just about that time. But the whole questioning has started much earlier in life. But then the time when I started taking this research more seriously was just about that half a decade plus ago. So there have been those questions, but then matters of faith, the way we take them, we tend to explain it away. We just try to cover it up. Like I tell people that it was a 3-stage process for myself, and that's the same thing that everybody will encounter. The first thing that people will see, you would see in the comments to this video, literally what people will begin to say, like, no, that's just coincidence. No, that's a mistake. So the first thing that people begin to see is that maybe it's just a discrepancy, you see. And that's the stage I got to at first, that maybe it's just a mistake. Maybe read C, read C. Yeah, maybe English language, they dropped one word. Okay, but then the next stage you begin to encounter is that you begin to get clear that no, you see enough evidence that this thing cannot be a coincidence, cannot be a mistake either. I mean, this is a clear, blatant, maybe error, right? So you move from saying that maybe I'm the one trying to force things, then you move over to no, this is not me. The evidence is clear. These people have made mistakes. So you're still thinking it's a mistake. But the moment you move to the stage 3, where you understand the motivations, like you've been asking, why they would change these things, and you begin to see that it's not discrepancy you're dealing with, it's not errors you're dealing with, but what you're dealing with is conspiracy.
Yeah.
Because you begin to see the potential reason why they would take the real land flowing with milk and honey and tell you to pay money to go watch a dry land over there.
Yeah.
You see? And that is your land flowing with milk and honey. They make it look bad and drab, yet they're not leaving the land. They don't want to get out of it, the Europeans. So that's the stage and the graduation for me gradually. Yeah.
That's deep. You know, one thing about me, I always relate it back to Constantine, Emperor of ancient Rome, and the reason being he was the first not Pharaoh, Caesar, to say, look, I'm gonna convert to this Christianity religion, right? And that's when the whole concept of the cross came into it, because before the symbol of the cross wasn't the symbol that represented Christianity.
Yeah, you're correct. But Drazy is a lot deeper than you think. But
break it down. Break it down.
I'm telling you.
Break it down.
But then it's an interview, and like I tell people, the answer I give is just as good as the question that I get. But I'm going to say it this way: if Constantine existed at all,
okay,
that's what I'm telling you.
Okay,
if he existed at all, then he was not converted to Christianity. If he converted to Christianity at all, his conversion was not real.
Of course it wasn't, because a lot of paganism was put inside of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And when you check, there's something called the Arch of Constantine in Rome, where he literally put the reliefs, that is the sculptures and all that, to commemorate his victory. There is absolutely nothing concerning the cross there, even the cross. Do you see where it goes? What you see is somebody making a sacrifice to a sun god, this one making this for one Diana goddess. There is nothing that concerns even the cross.
Yeah.
You see how far it goes. So the guy is completely not, if he existed at all, I'm telling you. So of course, someone can point to a statue and say, that's a statue of Constantine.
Yeah, duh. But that could be anyone. Yeah.
Exactly my point.
Yeah.
You see, so history has been so messed up.
Okay, all right. I agree history's been messed up. Okay, so where did the Vatican come from then? How did the land of the people who killed Christ now become the epicenter of his religion?
Important question. There's a part I'm trying not to get to, but
because we have to understand it is an interview. It is an interview. We can mix a bit of lecture, but I need answers. I need answers.
Yes. So we stopped the timeline at about the time when Daniel was taken to Babylon, which we now know is in present day Sudan. Okay. At that place, Nebuchadnezzar saw a dream. Let me try to show you that dream while I'm talking. So that dream is of the head of gold, the chest of silver,
feet of bronze.
Thighs of bronze, feet of iron, something like that. So it tells you different dynasties until when Yeshua would eventually come. And basically, long story short of that is that will happen around 490 years, which is 70 weeks. 70 weeks, 1 week there is 7 years, as against the regular 7 days. So 70 weeks is 70 times 7, that's 490 years. That's when Yeshua should come. And he should take the government away from the Romans. And that's exactly what he did. But that is not quite recorded in history, you see, not fully. But then when he took over the kingdom from the Romans, a time called the Dark Ages started popping up. That's what ministry will tell you. They'll call it medieval, they will call it Dark Ages, they will call it Middle Ages. Some will even call it the Tartarian Empire. Have you heard of the Tartarian Empire?
Yeah, I've heard of the Tartarians. I'm supposed to that they were giants or stuff like that.
Tell me what you know about Tartaria, so I don't put words in your mouth.
To be honest, I know based on what I've come across on social media and what I've read about. Apparently, it was a well-advanced civilization. They were already dealing with electricity when electricity wasn't even discovered. They were able to harness electricity from the atmosphere. Apparently, they were giants. And apparently they built most of the architecture that we have today. And apparently a mudslide came and buried most of the technology and their architecture. So people managed to steal it as if it was their own. That's what I know. I don't know much more than that, to be honest.
Great.
And apparently they were based in modern day Russia, somewhere around modern day Russia.
Yes. That's the people that carry the name. But then, do you know the time frame when this was happening, based on just what you've gathered, not any... Yeah,
not really, but I do know some pictures were taken. There was some photography, so I know it must have been like in maybe 100 or 200 years, because obviously photography was involved.
Great. So that time and that age was when it appears that Jesus was reigning right from Africa.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I know. That's the part.
What the hell, man? Every day I'm discovering new stuff. So you're telling me Tartarian was around while Jesus was around?
Yes, about the time when it took the kingdom from the Romans and destroyed the Roman Empire. But
Jesus.
let me back it off. Yeah, are you seeing? Are you seeing my screen?
I can see you, but there's nothing there.
Okay, let me try to share my screen so that
Alright.
I'll just talk a little bit on it, then I'll back off and we'll see people's reaction.
You better
Because
start
I'm telling you,
dropping stuff in the comments right now, man.
I
Apparently
know.
Jesus was around when Tartaria was around. Or should I say Tartaria was around when Jesus was around? Whoa.
So let me share that. Do you see this
Big
chart?
door,
Yeah,
beautiful and advanced, no toilets,
great.
scanty, empty streets, yeah.
Yes. So what we've done is we have put together all the things we noticed about the buildings that were discovered around 1700s and 1800s, during around the time when cameras were a thing, just came out, you see, as far as we know, yeah? Yeah, so we gathered all the features of that time period and of the buildings that were captured in pictures, and we put them all together. And the only thing that explains all of that in one sentence is in fact not the Tartarian theory, but is in fact the idea that the millennial reign took place within that same period.
What reign? What reign?
Millennial reign.
Millennial reign. What's that?
Yes, have you heard? Yeah, okay. How do I explain it? It is well as was promised in the Bible. Well, it said Jesus will reign for 1,000 years, and Satan will be bound within the same 1,000 years.
Like linear, but linear.
Millennia, this one in the center.
Oh, millennial. Oh, sorry.
Yes,
okay, my bad.
yes.
My bad. Okay, yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But then let me take it back to the. We want to see what the viewers' reactions will be, and we see if we can go that deep. Trust me. Now, if you want to know more, I can talk to you on a personal basis. But you can't see everything in public. That's just a fact.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. But then the point is that when the Roman Empire crumbled, basically, they like to say it crumbled around 400 AD. Some say it's 1400 AD. I mean, it kept crumbling and kept coming up. I think that history is not accurate because the history that the people that tells most of our history is the Vatican, by the way, which is to bring to your question.
Of course.
Yeah, which is to bring to your question where that come from. But then, watch this. Somebody on one hand is telling you that they're telling you all the history of the world. But the same person has miles, at least 20 miles of archives of books in a shelf that they're not disclosing to anybody. What does that tell you?
There's a lot that's been hidden.
Exactly. So it means what they're telling you that, we are so transparent, that thing cannot be true.
Of course.
Yes. And the reason why he returned back to the Vatican is because Jesus destroyed the Roman kingdom when he came, you see, and he resurrected. And then that kingdom was destroyed at that time. And he said the Satan he was stopped from deceiving the world up until the time he was released back again. So it was natural and normal for the devil to start where he stopped, which was the Roman Empire, and it came back to be the Roman Catholic Church. So that's where the Romans came through. And till today, they are the religious center of the world. Generally, America is the military of the New World Order, I should say.
Yeah.
And America is the military headquarters of the New World Order. England is the financial headquarters of the New World Order.
Yeah. 100%.
So I'm talking about the New World Order. We think that started around 1776, you see.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Any idea about 1776 that you know?
1776? No, nothing. It doesn't that year
ring a bell. That's the year that America became the 4th July thing, 4th of July 1776.
Okay.
And that's also the year that Illuminothing was formed, if you know who that is.
Illuminati? Illuminati or Illuminathing?
No, I gave them that special name,
I like that, Illuminathing.
I'm telling you, I got it off of someone that I've been using it since then.
Illuminathing. I like that.
So and that makes it difficult for them to quote you. I said Illuminathing was what I said. So
Illuminathing. I like that.
I'm telling you. And when you use and then when you use the actual Illumi whatever, it can pop up something on your video and they start. They do that. They just put a ribbon under your video when you mention some of these names. Free MASON. Right?
I posted a video where I talked about Illuminati puppets. The African leaders were Illuminati puppets, and it came up as a Wikipedia link.
I'm telling you,
like, what the hell?
Exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. So watch this again, Drazy. Watch all of those words and phrases that when you mention them, they protect it and they immediately give you a ribbon under your video. Those are the topics around which the real truth lies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about moon landing, talk about shape of the EARTH,
Yeah.
talk about NAKI,
Yeah. Anunnaki.
right? Yeah, talk about all, and I'm using those words so as not to pop up your video. Anyway, it shouldn't hurt the video anyways.
Yeah.
But then words around those topics, put those words together, then you are closer to the truth.
Yeah.
You know, then it can be. So 1776 is when apparently the New World Order began. And then you see that pyramid is also, 1776 is for US and Illuminating in Bavaria, Germany, 1st of May. So both of them are in 1776. Both of them have the triangle symbol. And the triangle symbol is in a dollar bill. Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you, yeah? See, all that you're describing, I'm fully well versed on that. But the thing
Good.
that the thought that's still in the back of my mind, which I haven't got the answer for, you talked about Tartaria and Jesus being around the same timeline. I need an answer for that.
Okay. Let me deal with that, and we'll move to that. Let me deal with this. To that. So, that dollar symbol, you've got Annoid Cuptus Novo Ordo Seclorum. Do you know what that means?
Is it under one God or something like that?
Not that. It means he nodded at the beginning of the New World Order.
Oh, wow.
So that is telling you when the New World Order began. And in case you're missing that up, they put it on the bottom of the pyramid, MCXXX, whatever, which is 1776. So they put it there. And you and I know what America is playing out today and what Illuminating is doing today.
Yeah.
So
Tartaria and Jesus.
Tartarian and Jesus.
I never thought those two words would ever go together.
You cannot imagine both being one sentence.
No way.
So let me show you. I'll just put it this way. Then, like I said, I think we have to manage the information we're giving out. Just trust me. I prefer to give you this on a personal basis, on a phone call.
Okay.
But let me show you that proof that time has been changed such that we are not in 2025. Do you see that?
I know there are different calendars. Definitely. I know there are many calendars.
No, not that. There's different calendars. There is the Chinese calendar. There is the Hebrew calendar. I understand. There's Islamic calendar. There is the
Ethiopian.
Gregorian everybody's calendar, in quote. Yeah. But I'm saying even the everybody's calendar is what I'm talking about. That has been changed. And we shouldn't be around 2025. The number, that nomenclature is wrong. The year 1290 something is more accurate than 2025. But the way I can link that is, do you know what happened in year one? Why they started calling it 2025? Any ideas?
Why they started calling them what, sorry?
How come we're in 2025? This is 2025 years since what?
Well, I think that it was when they made AD after obviously before Christ, and then AD Anti-Domini. That's when we started counting from. So we counted it from the existence of Jesus.
Exactly.
Which I call the Roman calendar.
Yes. So, and that AD is Anno Domini, and it means in the year of the Lord. And and one key thing is to know that some people call it after death. It's not after death. It's Anno Domini, in the year of the Lord. And that is to tell you how many years Jesus has been reigning, is what it means. Because you only name years after the reign of kings, you see. But then, let me just wrap it this way so we can maybe discuss the rest in private. But then, by the way, it's not so private like we're trying to hide anything. If people can go on our website, we have a 22-part series, a world history series that talks about these things, So they could go check it there. You could check it yourself. You see.
Just so you know, I'm someone who's not afraid to have these conversations. That's the open up my platform.
No. Of course, it's not about fear. It's about just managing the information, keeping the live from being flagged or the video, just to give it some traction. Then it's easier to talk about those kind of things in a real live where it's difficult to block it or something. Which they have. Man, they've blocked my first account. They've blocked the second account. The third account is also blocked. So, I mean, and that's why I go to these guys. Their name is Chatrod. I mean, it's an African app. It's just like TikTok. I mean, that's where we hold our lives sometimes nowadays. But let me just show you a few evidences of how dates potentially have been changed by the New World Order, basically. So let me know when you can see my screen.
I can see it.
So So apparently, Anno Domini, this year 2025, the full way to call the year is by saying Anno Domini 2025 or Anno Domini Jesus 2025. That's in the year of the Lord Jesus 2025. So apparently, the I, which represented the Jesus, let me show you from one that is more glaring, so that because you've not studied this thing maybe so deep in this area, so it's better that I show you from the. Let me show you the clearest one I can find. She's still okay. Let me see this previous one. Okay, this one doesn't have it. Okay, translated. So when I show that to you, I think it should be in the tombstones. It's easier. Okay, let's use this. Well, this person, this is a tombstone apparently, yeah? Are you still there?
Yeah, I can see William M. Riley.
Yeah, something like that. Who on a life departed this life, right? This life, you see better if you squint your eyes.
10th day of September, or the 20th day of September. Sorry.
Something like that. Beautiful. Of September. Yeah. What else?
Anno
Domini
1665. 1655.
No, it's not 16. It is I. Jesus.
Oh, what's that I?
Yes, that's an I.
Oh, Anno Domini.
Jesus. Jesus. But let me show you now. I did this to show you the Anno Domini. I'm going to show you the Jesus more for you to be sure that that's not a one. That's an I or a J. Look at this here. On the 20th day of August, Anno Domini Jesus J. 782.
Oh, okay. I never would have noticed that. I would have thought it was an I or one.
Yeah,
oh,
so
one.
this
Sorry,
is
one.
Yeah, this is a J. You see it?
Oh.
So when you say 2025 is a sentence, really, when you want to call it in full, it is actually Anno Domini Jesus 2025 is what it's supposed to be. So there is always a J, but over time, subtly, like I tell you, there's Satan at the very bottom, very deep depth of this thing. Crafty guy began to change the J to a 1.
So now the time has gone up.
It has gone up. And that is to make people lose hope. Well, let me not go ahead of myself. So now that you see how that I is an I, I can begin to show you. So this is an I here, you see? So this is 623. Let's see, that's the J there, that one there. It's still an I here. Yeah. I'll show the most glaring ones. This is a J there, J7794. So that is a J. This person died on March 6th, J772. You see, counting the years that Jesus was reigning.
So are we 1,000 years ahead of ourselves?
Well, numerically, it's just the numbers. So it's not like we really advanced in any way, but it's just the numbers. Yeah, but obviously,
if they change the J to an I.
That's what I'm saying. That's 1,000 years. You're correct.
That makes sense because in the Arabic calendar, they're 1,000 years behind.
Oh, really? I've not even studied that.
Yeah, because my wife speaks Arabic, and I know she told me the last time I spoke that we're still in the year 14. Actually, I tell you, I probably don't even know. I'm probably mixing it up.
Oh.
Right? Probably mixing it up.
Yeah, I know. 14 sounds very familiar.
Yeah, 14. I think it said 1,400 or something. I can't remember.
Oh, it's very possible. Very, very possible. So, I mean, it's all over the place. So those are, and let me show you the building. One building, just the building here. So I hope that. So, and even in the Roman numerals, there's a building that was year 870 thereabout, but then it was changed. That building. Okay, let me show you. After that, then I think that would answer the question basically. But if people want the full gist of it, it's on our website. Nobody can take videos off of our website because it's our website. So look at this building, you see. Look at, what is this? Anno Domini, the same stuff, right?
Yeah, Anno, yeah.
Now, this is DCCCXC. What's that? That's 890 something?
I'm not too sure.
300, that's 800 plus XC is 90, you see.
Yeah.
So this is the year 890 was when this building was built.
Yeah.
Year 890. And look at this building.
Yeah.
Does it make sense that someone built, it's just like basically like a Tartarian building, like you say, you get it. You see. So 890 is when it was built. But look at this same building now. This was a picture, one of the earliest pictures.
Yeah.
Look at the same building now. What do you see?
Yeah. Changed. they've added a whole 10 onto it.
M.
Is that M? I thought it was X. Sorry. Okay.
That's an M.
All right. Okay.
You see,
yeah.
and that's a whole 1,000 added to it.
Yeah.
The millennial reign.
Yeah.
So, so that's it. But then, for those that want to get the footage, I know people who have questions. They will be like, "No, bro, we don't agree. Are you saying this? Are you saying that?" Just it's either they come to our live. We go live in this time and period. This is 2025. Yeah, by the way. So we go live every 10 o'clock every morning on TikTok. So they can look for us there, and on Chatrod, in case there's some things you can see on TikTok. They have, like I said, they block like the several accounts that we had, suspended some and things like that. So they can come 10 o'clock every morning, ask any question they want to ask, and they'll be there. Or they go on Chatrod. We're going live 10 o'clock every morning. Or they go to our website, kunleministers.org, to get these things.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I think this is some deep stuff, man. This is some deep stuff. But yeah, man, we need to have another conversation because there's a lot more I want to ask you in terms of, like, you know, Africa and, you know, the biblical stories. We didn't touch much on other religions like Islam and Judaism, which stem from the same roots, if I'm not mistaken, Abrahamic. So it'd be nice next time to touch on that as well and see where these roots went to the Middle East and some roots went towards Europe, obviously. And before we go, one thing I've always said to people, which a lot of people, when I say this, they start to think deeply on what I'm saying, is the world believes that Europeans are the poster children of Christianity. But I don't know how a religion that was over here ended up over there. I always say that if this is Europe and this is Africa and the Middle East, I don't know how it went from being there to being over there, to the point where people are confused when they see Christians over here. You know, even me, I've had these ignorant moments where I've bumped into certain people who will say, "I'm from Palestine, but I'm a Christian." I'm like, "Huh?" But I'll see a white person, "I'm a Christian," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, cool." Don't think nothing of it. So what everything you said shows that the game has been played. The game has been played very well. You know, been played very well. So guys, if you're interested in deciphering this stuff, you're interested in knowing more, make sure you go to kunleministries.com.
Ministers.org.
Minister.org. Make sure you go there.
You can just pop it on the video.
Yeah, I will do 100%. 100%. Make sure
Ministers.org, yeah.
No problem. Kunle, it's been a wonderful conversation. Thank you very much for your time. Anything you want to shout out? Anything you want to like direct to the people before we go?
Yeah, that's basically it. We're live 10 o'clock every single day. Sometimes also in the evening. At Chatrod, they'll just pop the logo on the screen if you don't mind for the video. Yeah, I mean for the app rather. It's on app stores, on Play stores, an African app. We've got this TikTok is American, bought from Singapore, all the way from China. We've got Telegram from Russia, nothing for Africa. We've got Chatrod now for Africa. I think they're doing a great job, the guys. So that's that. Then they can go to our website to check whatever they need to. We are also working on the movie. There's a lot of things. Yeah, it's an animation movie we're working on. People that want, at this stage, although it's a video, it might be in the past for some people, but I mean, we're planning to make it a series altogether. So it's to show the story of Abraham in a very interesting, interestingly, you said Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. All of that came from Abraham, you know. Yes, and essentially Abraham is a father, he's a person, he's a story, he's a history. It's literally the African story that was exported, the same way they export crude oil and leather and sugar, whatever, cocoa, and they imported it back as Roman Catholicism, as Islam. It's just the story of the people, right? And of course, the African spirituality. So the root of the African spirituality is not halfway the juju thing. The real root of it is in scriptures. Yeah. So long story short, we're working on a movie project, those that might want to give to it. So just go to our website and find all of that there. Yeah. And we can put some of the details on this video. Yeah.
Before I go, I got one question to ask you. As you were talking, something came to mind. earlier on you talked about certain words that are very similar to the ancient Hebrew language. So the names like Abraham, Michael, all these names, where did they disappear? Because today most Africans don't have these names. So if these people are from us,
I know.
why we don't have those names no more? What's going on?
Exactly. See, brother. Now I'm getting ahead of myself. This is supposed to be classified information.
All right, okay.
And
I'll take. No.
I will.
It's for part two. It's for part two.
No,
It's
no,
for
no,
part two.
no, it's fine. Let me give this one. This I want them to come check, because when it's time for part two, we might have started the movie already, so I can't.
All right, okay.
So, but then let me give this one out. Abraham is a very central figure, very important, and Abraham means exalted father. Abraham means the father of many nations, of many peoples. And when you bring this to the Yoruba language, to African language, you can get the etymology. You know what that word means, a big word, kind of word. So it means the root and the source of words. The etymology for Abraham, where if you go to modern Hebrew, they'll tell you Ab and Raim and just mix the thing up. Or you bring it to Yoruba language, it is Abba, Aremo. And Abba means father. You know, we showed you that Abba is father.
Yeah.
So, and Aremo is a prince or an exalted person, or Abba Orimo. You see, Abba Aremo, and it tells you the etymology that it is actually Abrahimo. You see, and we have those words here. We have those names here.
So what about Michael? What about Michael?
Michael, I've not done the etymology for that. But then, you could literally break it down. And that L is really as good as Oluwa or Elua, you see. That's Eloha we broke down the other time. You see. So all it takes is just to begin to put vowels to the consonants, you see. And then it's just, especially in the Yoruba language, is quite vast. And it's not to exalt one tribe over the other.
Yeah.
Yoruba is not a tribe, it's like a nation. You can hear someone from Ghana say they've come from Yoruba. So that language is quite deep, to just be honest. So, and I mean, the God is there. There's literally a statue of God, you know, in eastern Nigeria today, among the Igbo people. They are from the tribe of God. There are a lot of people in the Yoruba tribe that are from Ephraim. You know, we have found that, we would have shown all of that, but, you know, time is of essence. So we'll maybe probably touch that in part two. But then the etymologies of those names are there.
Definitely. There's a lot to discuss in part two, trust me. So guys, make sure you leave any questions that you want asked in part two. Make sure you check out kunleministers.com. org. So kunleministers.org. And you probably get all the answers that you're looking for in part two there. But still come back for part two, because I'm going to have way more than you expect. But guys, please comment, like, share, subscribe. And I really appreciate you watching. And Kunle, thank you once again for coming. I really appreciate that. It's been interesting. I've got a lot to go away to research now. That's for sure.
I know.
That's for sure. All right, Kunle. You enjoy the rest of your day, and God bless you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.